y'all? Welcome. I'm your girl, your host, and hopefully favorite author, F.M. Ellis, and this is another episode of The Block. So today we are kicking off our season series, and we're going to start with the hardest season of them all. Can anybody guess what that is?
So,
Waiting.
The waiting season.
Waiting.
Now, for the purpose of this show, I'm going to give you the definition of waiting. Waiting is the action of staying where one is or delaying action until a particular time or until something else happens. Okay? So, before I get started, before we dive into the lessons and the conversation, I want to acknowledge my two beautiful in-studio guests today, Richie and McKenna. If you all don't mind just giving a quick bullet point of who you are so people know where they're getting their gems from today.
all right.
Okay, my bullet point. My name is McKenna Jennings. I'm 32, I'm an Ohio native and moved to Atlanta in 2015, and that's where a lot of my waiting has come from, the city of Atlanta.
Atlanta can give you that waiting season,
Absolutely.
right?
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I ain't going back, I'll tell you that right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we with you there.
Well, my name is Richie Torrance. What's happening? How you doing?
Rich.
Yeah. Rich Atlanta. How you doing? Let's see. Man, I met you when I first came to Atlanta back in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been connected ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my background's real estate, music production, music development, and
Yes.
I don't know, all kinds of stuff. I'm that guy,
He is
so,
that guy.
So I know about waiting.
Whew.
Of course, Takia's new single's called Waiting, so we talk about that too.
Oh my goodness! And we
on.
had Taki
Wow.
on the show a couple of episodes back, and her and Richie are in a band together. They are amazing.
So we're business partners on a lot of
yes,
things. Music production's just one, others real estate, marketing, and sales and stuff. So, yeah.
I love it. So you all are going to give us some great perspective today on the waiting season in the different areas of our life. So when it comes to waiting, I just have to take a deep breath because I'm currently in a season of waiting for something in particular myself.
Oh, well, what a time to be talking about
What
it.
a time.
Praise
Now,
Jesus.
and although our life moved through various seasons of waiting, I mean, we wait to meet the one. We wait to have the kids. We wait to buy the house once we saved up the money, or the car. Or we wait and work to get the promotion or the opportunity in life. I mean, we wait on test results. We wait in line. We wait. I'm sure you waited at traffic lights prior to coming
You waited
here.
on me today.
No, literally.
I
That
can't
current
with you.
experience. Come on.
Now, some of the periods of waiting are just minutes, like that light, which can seem
Wouldn't that
like
be
hours.
nice?
Some are days, some are weeks.
Years.
Whew. But Jesus
A lot of them are
Christ.
years.
Yes,
A lot of
Jesus
them are
Christ.
years.
Yes, a lot of the waiting can last for what seems like years. Now, the question on the table today is, how do you wait? Are you an anxious waiter? Are you a backdoor waiter where you're trying to speed things up and bypass the waiting season? Are you depressed? Are you complaining? Are you doubtful that the things will happen? Or are you confident? You know what I'm saying? Secure, free, because you planted the seed, you toiled the soil, you watered the soil, and you know and you believe with the absence of evidence that it will come to fruition. How do you wait? Is the question today. Welcome to the block. How do you wait? Is the question today. So we're going to give two examples so we can bring everybody along. So you don't just sit back like, oh, that's not me. Oh, it's you.
If you living,
If you breathing, if you above
Right.
ground, you are in a waiting season in some area of your life. So if you all want, I could kick off an example of when I tried to bypass the waiting season.
Okay.
And then I would love to hear an example or experience from you all.
Absolutely.
So recently I spearheaded a project. And it was ad hoc because there was a breakdown in our organization systems. And a lot of accounts were affected. And I had my team, we did all the things, you know, the meetings, the readouts, the research, the data analysis, all the things to get these accounts back whole. Now, in my particular position, the company lacks some technical resources.
That's hard in 2024.
They do.
That sounds like funding.
And, you know, we were ahead of schedule by like 14 days. So I was very, you know, prideful that, oh, look at me and my team. We killing the game.
Yeah.
We solving problems next to world hunger. You know what I'm saying?
Not world hunger.
And so because of my experience in the past with reaching out to other departments for assistance to get me numbers, I had to comprise a sheet from all the accounts we were working on down to the ones that still needed to be addressed. Now, I had multiple sheets, and I didn't know how to combine it and just find those that had not been addressed. Ran it through our system, it didn't work. So what did I do? Instead of just being honest and say, look, based on the resources we have, we can't deliver this final, you know, piece in a timely fashion. I'm gonna have to pass it on to the IT team, and I know they don't have the bandwidth. Those are words they use to get it in the time frame that the COO wants it done, or unless someone else wants to chime in and show me how I can get this done. Well, instead, what I did is I emailed myself the list, because I knew my personal business, I had all the capabilities, right? So I emailed that list of accounts to my personal email, which was a violation of company policy, because you could breach. It has people, it don't have socials and birthday, but it had name and accounts and stuff like that. So I tried to pass the waiting season or the disappointment season by not delivering in a timely fashion, by doing something on my own, which inevitably was a violation, bringing dire results. Like I was definitely penalized for that. So trying to bypass the process can end up in a hot mess. It's just like a mother trying to give birth in 3 months, right?
That's an interesting concept.
Exactly. Like if you rush something, just to it typically delivers inconclusive, disastrous results.
Yeah.
So that is my experience with trying to bypass a necessary waiting season.
But you make a good point. You know, you're talking about bypassing the process. There's one of my spiritual mentors taught me, and I've got it taped up in places, because you have to trust the process.
You have to trust it.
Yeah, if you trust the process and you let things flow naturally as they should, and you keep things in order, things flow right and they come out right. And it just takes down the anxiety, because I'm a very spiritual, religious person. I'm not going to say.
I like this guy.
Yeah, we all are. I think we got a little bit of that. We got a little bit of that. Go ahead, preach to us, Richard.
Right, I was about to say, he's right on my line.
Yes,
Talk about it.
Yeah, because if you trust in God, and I'm going to get more, I'm not going to get so esoteric with it, but in the sense of my experience, like this, I mean, I'm 47 years old. I'm more than halfway past. So I've got some wisdom here,
Got some wisdom under your belt.
And I have learned that, you know, patience, trusting the process and having patience. There's one thing to have the faith, because the faith is what kicks in the action, right? And with the action, if you're truly trusting God, if you have some idea of timeline, how it's going to play out or what it's going to look like,
he's going to laugh at you.
Man, so nice to me. But it's so true.
Yeah, tell him your plan so he can do like, okay, that's nice.
Well, when you set your own expectations, you are playing God in the situation. And there's one thing to have a game plan. You've got to have a game plan. There's not going against that aspect.
A target and a game plan.
Target and a game plan, but you got to allow life to be life. And it'll blow your mind if you sit back and you just watch things start taking shape.
Yeah.
But you got to trust that in the future, because there's a lot of, you know, everything's relative. It's one thing to trust the process, but what kind of pressure you got behind you, what kind of stress you got, because all that's going to factor in.
Yeah.
And then your patience becomes a little thin.
So let me ask you this. You bring up a great point talking about patience, and we're talking about the waiting season. In a culture that is a microwavable, instant culture, we're taught, and some people are visual learners. Clearly, the world is visual learners, because that's why things like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok is so popular, because it's visualization,
and it's
right?
quick.
And it's quick. How do you, if waiting was hard prior to technology, how do we wait and be patient when the world is telling us you can get things right now? You can manifest things right now. You are in control right
I
now.
ain't manifesting
You need to be
nothing but the
working.
devil.
You need to be
Man,
doing.
come on,
You wanna cut that?
amen.
All against all the new age.
Man. Yeah, okay.
I was about to say, I feel like that's very loud because me being the millennial that I am, I'm at that age where everybody's getting married, everyone's having babies, everybody's doing this and that. But it's like a lot of people don't see people's background. Like it might look like it's instant, but a lot of people don't see like the time that was invested.
The
for
middle.
The time that it took for them to become who they were.
middle.
Like when people were just like, you've been doing recording for how long? Like, so when when this takes off, like where it's supposed to be, they're gonna be like, oh my God, Faye, it's like, but I've been doing this. Like, I've
Baby,
been in it. So
you
it's
better
like,
say that right.
We
It's
call that
a-
the 10-year overnight success.
Yeah.
Yes. I
but
love
it's
it.
like, they can think they're manifesting it, but I've learned anything that you try to obtain on your own, you have to sustain on your own. Like anything you do outside of God's will for your life, you have to figure out how to maintain it, which makes it a lot heavier.
Amen.
When you take
Amen.
it back to like what he was saying, where it's like, if you sit back and like let him drive, it just flows. Like you don't have to. And we can talk about like the season I have comparison. What was that, 2018, 2019, when I was trying to buy a
19.
house. And it was a townhome, and I was like in it, and that was when it was like, it was after 2020 because of the market. And that's when interest rates and all that stuff was really
Okay,
low.
we were back in the office. Okay.
Yeah. And I was doing every single thing that I could, like trying to make this house happen. Every little thing. I had little prayer requests. It was like, Lord, if the mortgage is gonna be under this amount, like then I'll know it's from you. And it wasn't. And it was like, but like, it was like within like $25 or something. And then it was like, all right, the next step. That was the first. I was like, no. And then for some reason, I was watching a sermon. It was like, you over there trying to buy that house and it's not your time. And I was like, he not that pressed on me. Like,
While
this-
you still putting
this-
submit
right,
to
this
submit
so
all the
random.
documents to get the house. You're not supposed
Literally,
to get right.
I had written out budget sheets and everything where I was literally trying to make it happen. And every step of the way, I was like anxious, nervous, like really. But I was like, but I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. It's fine. I'm going to buy it. And I got all the way to literally the night of my birthday. And I woke up with them telling me the cost of a house was going to go up $15,000. And it was going to be over what I was comfortable paying.
Pre-approved.
And I was like, I won't go broke to say I have a house. And then like hindsight, here I am in 2023, I bought a house that's bigger than that townhome I would have
Sure.
had. It had everything that I wanted. Like I have a backsplash, I have the hardwood floors, hardwood
Yeah.
stairs, I have more space. I have a 2-car garage opposed to the 1-car garage. The location's better than where I was going to be. All of those things. And that house process, all I did was sit back. Like I didn't hold on to it. I didn't
God's
try to make
timing.
it happen. Exactly.
I love
and I was
that.
like, so
I love
sitting
that.
back, I appreciated this house this time around so much more because I knew what I felt. Like the anxiety that I felt.
We
on the person.
all knew what she
Sure.
felt because we all worked together. So whether you wanted to know what McKenna was going through or not in
Right.
her house process,
It was
we
happening.
heard. And what the undertone of that was forcing it.
Mm-hmm.
You see people just trying to check off a box, but it's not your time
Yeah.
to check the box off. And you could feel it in the process. It seems hard. It seems like you're trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
And we do have taglines and mantras and hashtags like make it happen. But
Yeah.
if you got to make it happen, it's not going to be sustainable nor enjoyable because you are bypassing your natural process, your waiting season.
Yeah.
But
And
you're
that's what you
also
were doing.
sowing that energy and that fear and that anxiety into the process.
Ooh.
So if that's what you're creating,
You didn't infected your seed.
And I know, looking
yeah,
back, I know like my intention for buying that house wasn't because I really wanted a home. Like I was buying that because
It sounded like
I
a
hadn't
natural
been
thing.
engaged yet. Like I'm trying to figure out like
You wanted to check
I
your
need
box.
I need to check a box to like feel like that I'm
we-
you know what I'm saying? But it's like it didn't.
Like you're doing something.
Yeah,
it's a
and
lot of pressure on women in that
Mm-hmm.
sense. You know, guys don't have the same pressure because I am in real estate and I work with a lot of people who are in that age group.
Yeah.
And because they feel like they're supposed to be engaged, they're supposed to be married, they're supposed to get a house. It's just a lot of pressure for them to do that.
And they're
you know?
forcing situations. They're forcing relationships and end up
Absolutely.
in divorce. You know this is not the right person, but this will look good when you go to the family reunion. Yes, I got married.
And
I got
but
something to
see,
brag about. Oh, I got
That's
this. Oh, I got
disingenuous.
that.
That's pretentious.
But it's a lot of that going
It is.
around,
But
right?
That's part of being a human being.
I literally
Yeah.
see that. That's me and my
course.
significant other see it all the time, which is why we look at each other like we know what we got here and
Yeah.
we gonna figure this out
Amen.
here because we're watching things just like you said fail all around us. Whereas, like, if we would have been married on everybody else's timeline, we probably would have been divorced.
Yeah.
Like, had we not. Now we're taking steps that a lot of couples wouldn't even think to do in their early 30s.
You've got a lot of wisdom.
She does.
I've lived
You got
a
an
lot of
old
life
soul.
in a
She does.
little bit of time.
Yeah,
It's been a
you
lot
got
of
a
Jesus.
strong spirit.
Yeah.
When I was a time, Richie, thank you for sharing, McKenna.
Of course.
That's going to hit home for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really, it is.
Where's the time that you, Mr. Successful, busy man, he has a plethora of things on his plate. When is the time that you tried to bypass the process, and how did that work out?
This week, last week.
Living
No,
life.
it's funny. Something Takia and everybody around me, my girlfriend, everybody could attest to. Because, I've been in business for a long time. I've got a lot of resources and connections and able to make calls and make things happen
Yes.
and stuff. I always have a strategy in how to fast track things because I have that experience and I have the ability to do that.
Yes.
But a lot of times, if you're working in a project situation, I guess I'm going to go more vocational versus personal.
No,
I
I love
back-
it. Go ahead. Absolutely.
I was like, we've all project managers.
Yes, we're all project managers.
Definitely in
here,
it.
yes.
You've also got to go with the speed of your team because you can't fast track people too much because you will stress them out because a lot of times they don't get the vision. And if you don't have people in agreement,
Get that
walking in
buy-in.
agreement, yeah, you totally like throw off the rhythm of the flow of things. So I don't know where that came from. I guess that come from personal experience.
Yes.
But as far as trying to fast track, okay, I'll give you a good example. I'll give you a really good example. There's a project I've been working on since 2011.
Okay.
Now, you're like, well, I don't know if you're being patient, it sounds like. I came up with this idea back in 2011, but the technology had not yet arrived,
Okay.
right, to do it, right?
It's here now.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. Not all, it's
Yes,
almost
maybe.
here.
You don't
Oh,
know what
wow.
his vision is.
Well,
but-
I got some friends that are like genius level, like they would blow your mind if you sit down and talk to them. I mean, they're like ahead of the curve on AI invention. They've been doing that for years. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, so I went to my buddy who's like 1,000 light years ahead of all of us, and I told him the vision back in 2012 or whatever. And he's like, the technology's not here, Richie, but when it gets here, I'll let you know and we'll build it. Because he figured out how to build it.
Oh, wow.
He's like, but we need X, Y, and Z components, and they don't exist. He called me 2 years ago, and he said, Richie, the technology's here. So I'm all like, boom, let's go. You know, we're figuring out how much money we need. We're going to do all this. We're going to do all that. I fly out to California to meet with one of the
wow.
guys, and it's like, I'm just totally like, oh my God, we are totally about, oh my God, we're about to do this. Oh my God, I was just blown away.
Yes.
So I got in a real fast hurry. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do
Right.
this. We're going to do this. And I lost track of everything else going on around me because I was so fueled by that. And at the same time, the band was like taking off. We got record companies and public and all this stuff coming in. And I'm like, whoa, I'm like, this is great. So I'm trying to fast track everything. And I lost my footing on everything I was doing. And I was trying to do too much at once because I was in a panic. And it all just kind of went, I'm like, what just happened? So I had to learn
Wow.
that patience factor, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Lock this in, boom, we're good. Locked in the other thing. And if we had just went all in on that project I was doing, we'd probably lost we would have lost $250,000 because we weren't ready.
Timing.
Timing.
Yeah.
And what I've learned over this past year, over just all the research that we've done and all the time that we allowed, we didn't have it right when we had the initial, like, this is what we're going to do. And because of the year and being able to see how things developed, now when we do it, it's on.
It's going to hit
Yeah.
how
It's
supposed
gonna
to
hit, yeah.
I love
It was
that.
a timing thing. you
It
know.
is. And then once again, timing, waiting.
I hope that made sense.
It makes a
Yeah,
lot
absolutely.
of sense.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people
I started
lose.
reliving. I started getting some PTSD.
You, you want a water break? You need a water
Dude, this water break is brought to you by
My
favorite water.
My personal stress.
Keep it at
Yes.
the core.
Oh my God, I love it. But no, that is true. We have all, especially in this day and age where it seems like if you're not busy, you're just not productive. But
That's a
sometimes-
lie.
Yeah, sometimes busy is just busy. It's not mean that you're actually getting anything done. And you're trying to put you see somebody successful in this area. You was already in this area. You're like, oh, well, let me try this because I may have success here. Then I'll come back to this. And next thing you know, you've lost a couple of steps in the thing that was meant for you while you focusing on something that was
And
not
the-
meant for you.
And the one thing that creates all the revenue to make all that
there
possible.
you go. Oh my God. Your bread and butter.
My dad told me last year, he's like, this is all great that you have all these ideas, but you're forgetting one thing. Where's your revenue coming from?
Yeah.
You better
Yeah.
keep that you better keep that at the core.
At the core.
We're plugging this.
I cannot
We're
stand
getting it
him.
endorsed.
I love it.
We're going to get endorsed.
We're going to get endorsed. So we're going to move over into examples of when you could not bypass the waiting season. And
Wow.
how you were in the season. So I'll give an example, unless one of you all want to go first.
No, you got it.
Yeah.
So loving someone through addiction. So you do the interventions, pressuring that person to do better, make better choices, the shaming that you put on them. You think you try everything to get them to just see the light. Why you can't just do things how you're supposed to do it, right? The isolation, the quiet conversations about them when they walk into a room, the rants and fights and arguments that you have with this person because they just can't get it. You want to just shake them.
You're dealing with.
Exactly. So the prayers and the fears of the possible outcome if that person doesn't get on the right side of this, and how impactful that can be and who it would impact. In project management, we use a term called dependencies. And it's used to describe the relationship between two tasks, right? Sometimes you can complete tasks simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yes? But in other cases, you cannot start a task until the previous task has been completed. Thus, the dependency. For example, you cannot frame a house before
Without the
building
concrete
the foundation.
Well, can't you put the roof on before you do that?
Most people try.
It's just hovering.
Right.
If it's a roof hovering up there, there's something going on.
There's something going
and I don't
on
want
with
that.
I want to sell that technology,
Right.
though.
And to bring it back full circle to loving someone through addiction, there's a dependency there. That person has to acknowledge and be willing to seek help in order for real healing to take place. But for those observing the addiction, we want the healing just to take place, right? Thus creating an imbalance in the process. So one thing can't happen. This can't be fulfilled until this task is complete, until that person acknowledge their weakness to this addiction. Yes?
And they have to want to do it for themselves.
They have to hit rock bottom. Rock bottom is a spiritual gift.
That is true.
It's totally a spiritual gift. And this is something I have a lot of experience in. And if I get too far out there with you, you can be like, Richie, come on back.
No, go ahead.
Well, all right, I'm about to go like
Let's go.
rock church, Pentecostal, laying hands.
Amen. Let's go.
All right. I mean.
You talking the talk. I'm with it.
Yes.
We
Well,
right here
here's
with
the,
you.
well, you know, okay, all right, for instance, now I'm looking at, because I've lost, a couple of family members. I've lost, a lot of people over the years, But when you're dealing with, like, hard drugs, when people take those drugs, you ever seen the movie The Exorcist?
Yeah.
All right, well, so that little kid was not what I'm saying is,
You're not dealing with it's all spiritual.
You're
That person
dealing
had
with
been
spirits
overtaken.
is what-
Yeah,
Spiritual
the person
warfare.
had been overtaken. You wasn't
Yeah.
dealing with that person.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the disease.
well, that's why they
Yes.
called alcohol spirits.
yeah, absolutely.
All
And
of it.
when they're not running life, they have no control over it because once they get so deep into drugs, it's another spirit running them. Whether you want to call it the spirit of addiction or you go into religious terms like the spirit of whatever.
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
So, but people have to hit rock bottom and see. They have to realize that every little idea they have about getting to that next level, they have failed. But failure isn't failure in that sense. That's where people meet God. I hope I'm not going too deep on this.
No, but I resonate with that because that
Thank
was when I actually couldn't bypass. I got to a point where I lost somebody that was like a second mother to me in 2018, and there were so many things that I did in life to just keep going. And when I hit that, I no longer had any kind of emotional stability, control of my emotion. I had anxiety out of the yin yang to the point where I was looking for medication, even though I avoid medication because there is addiction in my family. So I'm anything that's come, I don't want to introduce anything to myself that I would have to possibly have. It could have an effect on me. So it took me getting there, and my therapist, it sticks with me. She told me that analogy where people say they sweep things underneath the rug.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, here's your rug, and now it's full.
It's
Yeah.
So it's your rug can't cover anything else, and now all of your stuff is just falling out, and you can't control it because so much has been like swept
Piled
under.
up, yeah.
So that was something that I couldn't avoid. Like I couldn't avoid that process. Like I had to unearth
You
all
have
of
to
that
pull
for
the rug
years.
back
And
and start dealing with stuff piece by
and
piece.
I feel like I'm
that's not
still
easy.
in. It's not, but it takes a lot. Like you said, you have to hit your rock bottom. You have to get to a point where like you're making the decision for yourself, not because you want to have fix your relationship, not because you
Somebody
want
said
your
you
family.
need to get sober. And
Yeah,
all
like
that.
you're not doing it. Like you have to get fed up with you,
Amen.
and not a lot of people want to go through that process of. All right, maybe I am the problem.
Yeah,
maybe I was the issue, So
I love that you said that you have to get fed up with you, which is the same interpretation. You have to hit your rock bottom.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the dependencies, on the other side, when you said addiction or losing someone or, whatever it is,
You can't rush grief.
It's our will that something be done, but it has to be, if it's somebody else involved, they have
You
to
can't
be,
control
they
that.
have to have a buy-in as well too. And what we want cannot manifest until they do their part, that first task, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, do you all have any experience with? Go ahead.
I want to share this. This is really important because I've talked to a lot of people who have been on both sides of this.
Yes.
And there's a common denominator I hear in everybody's story that got their life together. It was like they had a breakdown because they saw their mother or father crying because it just broke their heart so bad to see that they had let someone down that much. And it's a common theme I
A
hear.
moment of clarity.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
You
may
kinda
have
like
happened
see
when they
it.
was a little sober or a little whatever. And
Yeah.
it's not always about drugs. Sometimes it's just about lying, cheating,
Yeah.
stealing,
Hurting
whatever your
somebody.
addiction is. You know what I'm saying? And when you finally see how your behavior,
Is
when you
affecting
care
others.
how your behavior affects other people, that
Yeah.
ripple effect. You have to care because you can see it all day long, but until you really feel it, you know what I'm saying? Then you will like be aware of it. A word we use, a term we use on this show a lot, self-awareness. Sorry to interrupt, but this is just a quick break. Thank you for watching, and thank you for taking residency up on the block for those who have subscribed. But I just stopped by to give you a gentle reminder about my book, My Life is a Lemon, The Memoirs of Me. It's my personal journey and my gift to you. So you may be asking, I already subscribed to your channel. What more do I need to know? Glad you asked. Well, I want you to get the book for two reasons. The first one being the most successful people in the world has added reading to their daily routine. And secondly, by reading my personal journey, I hope you will learn how to extract the lesson from life's experiences and implement them going forward so you can bypass some of the pitfalls that life presents. Yes? See, it wasn't until I rekindled my relationship with reading that my life was transformed. Reading really is fundamental. From the lips of financial gurus to the top innovators of today. Oh my God. From the lips of financial gurus to top innovators of today, to a woman who was broken by abuse, tragedy, and ended up finding her purpose on the other side of that. I believe we learn from each other. I'm sure you can agree. So I am not currently a financial CEO or an inventor of the next must-have gadget, but I am real, raw, and transparent. And I believe that the lessons that I learned will help you skip to the front of the class, right? Bypass, like I said earlier, some of those pitfalls. So I hope you will click the link in the description below, use coupon code LEMON, and enjoy. Best of life to you all. Now back to the show. Then you can make the
Can we go there?
I was like, now that
That is
people like that all
Why?
time.
I was telling a friend of mine last night, why do they not teach self-awareness in school to kids?
Yeah, they really
Along
do.
with-
Because they teach you that life is supposed to be an 8-hour workday, so they put you in a system that teach you. Let me get off of that.
Yes,
no,
it's okay.
well,
Let me get off my.
no, well, the
tangent.
Rockefellers
another
are the
show
ones that
for another
developed the school
Exactly. I
system.
was like, that might be my conspiracy theory.
That
but
is no, that's a fact.
it's a setup. That's why they're not teaching you self-awareness or budget.
So as anybody who we spoke before, loving someone through addiction or whatever, the acknowledgement and willingness has to be on that person's part in order for them to begin the healing process, thus completing the waiting season. And whether it's addiction, whether it's getting married, whether it's having a child, whether it's the business taking off, the vision or the idea, anyone who is in the waiting season, it can be frustrating.
Yeah.
You can be impatient. You can lose hope and become doubtful.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. Woo!
With my God, nothing is impossible.
And it starts to feel
God,
like your
all
prayer,
things are possible.
Yeah, exactly. It starts feeling like your prayers and your effort are buried. But there is a difference between being buried and being planted. And I'm telling you, that first time you have a conversation with that loved one that's clear, where there's clarity on the other end, it's almost like seeing that little bitty leaf break through the dirt, right? And you just be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was and you almost become embarrassed as to how you act
Or
during the waiting season. When
Yeah.
you know you've seen.
When you start to see the glimpse,
you're
you're like, I've been
manifest
cutting up.
before. You're like, why did I fight with that person? Why did I isolate that person? Why was I doubtful? Why was I angry? Why was I complaining? I knew that it was going to break through, that they would be rescued from this, or this would happen, or I would get married, or I would get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Why was I so doubtful in the middle or so angry when I know the process?
Because you're human.
Because it's
You are
pressure and
human, but
stress is
that first
hard.
breakthrough is just like, oh, here it comes, here it comes.
And they're like, no, this.
But
But
you
that's,
have-
I feel like that's just God's like love for you to show you like
I love it. I love
a
it.
glimpse of
Yes.
like, I am working.
I am working,
I'm
baby.
just letting you know that I'm working.
Yeah.
And you've got to hold on to that little moment of hope, because
That's
it's
what gets you
going
to
to
the
get
next-
just as
that
hard
gets you to the next
on the
glimpse.
next phase. But you also got to realize, and I'm looking more from a vocational standpoint, a lot of times you've already made it when you don't even realize, because if you're making it and you don't know what it is, you don't realize when you've
That
arrived.
you're there.
Amen. And the front end
Yeah.
of any blessing or breakthrough is a chaotic beep show. I mean,
Yes.
it is like, and a lot of times you're already there and you don't even realize it. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, I
Dang.
did it, man.
But you
what-
never really look back nowadays because, like we said, we're in that
Oh.
instant gratification. So, like, a lot of the stuff that you're in today was something you used to pray for before, and you're so focused on your next that you're
But
not
that
even
part.
appreciating
it
what
keeps
you
that
have.
part.
moving.
Yeah.
The finish
Yeah,
line
yeah.
keeps moving. I mean, that's human nature.
Yeah.
We always have to be evolving and growing. But it's a point where you have to understand that, oh, I haven't been waiting for 15 years. I've restarted this process multiple times. I've actually seen things grow and harvest, and then I just set my sights on the next harvest, right?
Or we self-sabotage, not even really knowing.
That is
Yeah.
true. That is true.
Do you remember, this is a big part of the waiting thing. This is a whole lifetime, and you tie into this story. So you remember when you met me, I moved to Atlanta because there's this music project I wanted to do. This big producer I met, and I'm like, want to go work with him, and I had to come to Atlanta to put it together, and I started working at ProMove.
Yes.
And you remember I was doing that and building all the music stuff, and then all of a sudden I got picked up and everything went whoop, and then I was over in Europe.
Yeah,
and like,
y'all were going on tour. We were so excited.
I know
Yeah.
y'all were so excited.
We were
you
so
were,
excited.
Oh, y'all were, because I had lunch with y'all, or your breakfast with y'all.
Yeah, me
shortly
and
after.
Ebony, yeah.
Oh, I love Ebony. Love her. Yeah, but you remember we got there. I made it. I mean, I'm on the big stage. Our last show was thousands of people, just like and I was like,
This is it.
we had made it. However, it didn't look like what I thought it looked like, so I didn't
Yeah.
feel like I did it. Right?
You thought you were still in your waiting period.
I thought I was still in my waiting period. There's a couple other things about it. So I got discouraged thinking I knew what it looked like when I had never been there before. So the reality is, and we all talk about it in that band, because I self-sabotaged that point. I'm like, this ain't what it looks like. I'm going to go do something else. And I jumped over and went to Nashville and took off again because it was just it was in my life.
Right.
You had an expectation when it doesn't match your expectation. You're like, this ain't it. Like, this ain't what I thought it was going to be.
Because I mean,
I feel like that's where I am with-
We don't. If we knew what it looked like, we wouldn't even have to live life because it would already be there when we got
It
here.
ruins
Yeah.
the journey and the destination if we knew exactly what it looked like, right?
I feel like
I get it.
a lot of like how I behave within I learn a lot about the waiting season within my relationship. And I feel like my relationship is one of the biggest examples of like watching God move in my life because everybody has an idea of like, oh, what a godly man should look like, or what a relationship would look like,
Yeah.
or what a partnership should look like. And when you get so caught up in like what a world's expectation is, like there are things like that my partner brings into my life. Like he keeps me from being the judgmental Christian. Like he keeps me from being legalist, like understanding that like it's about relationship with
It's
God.
the intangibles.
Yeah, it's like
not the things that you definitely can just,
he pulls. You know how they always say, like, granted we're not married, but they always say like your partner's supposed to be your mirror. They're supposed to show you like you. Like no one before him has ever forced me to learn how to communicate. Like everyone's kind of been like, oh, that's just how you are. So like this is one of like this season, as much as like on the outside it looks like, oh, we've been up together X amount of years and like they're just going through the process, like but I'm like we talked about before, we're willing to go to therapy where a lot of people in our generation aren't willing to do that. Like we're willing to have the hard conversations
to do the work
where a lot of people aren't willing to do that. So I'm like, as much as this waiting sucks because where I should be, like I'm 32 and the things that I want, it's like
I love it when she said I'm 32.
We wouldn't like we're working not for the right now. We're working for the longevity of it. We're working so we're not getting divorced. We're working so like this commitment is going to be
you're
honored by
laying
God.
your foundation instead of putting
like
up
trying
your
to do.
frame, right?
We're not
You're
doing new construction. I want a foundation from like them houses in like
Right.
1960,
Yeah.
where they let that concrete sit for like 6 months.
Yeah.
These houses nowadays, I bought one, but it's like
You need to come work with us.
well, we can talk because
What you're doing in your relationship is what we talked about.
Yeah,
It's the dependency.
absolutely.
Like something has to come before it's dependent. Your foundation setting, the counseling, the getting to know each other, the alignment is what needs to happen prior to the actual marriage,
and
which
we
is
talked about that
cutting the ribbon
earlier.
on a new home and moving in.
And we-
like you want to move in and you don't even know who the heck you are or who you're moving in
And we talked
with.
about that, like you can, like your waiting season isn't always about like where you're trying to get to. It could be about like you have to be like who
person.
God needed you to
Yes.
be for that. Because if we get anything prematurely, then you're not you're gonna fumble it. You're not gonna know what you're doing.
Can I
So-
get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. We spoke about this before you came in
Yeah.
the room that you.
See, they were waiting on me.
Yeah, we were waiting on him just for a second. But the waiting season for some people, and I want to just give this to all, just if you could be open to it, that you may be in a waiting season only because, just to McKenna's point, you are not the person that you need to be for whatever it is that's going to manifest. And if it came too quickly, it could destroy you. And if
Absolutely.
you have a father that's loving and care about you,
He's not
going
gonna
to
give
hand
you-
the keys to, you wouldn't hand your car keys to a 4-year-old. You love them, but they're not ready for it.
They
So-
can't even reach the pedal.
Right, exactly. There's some prep
If you
work
can, that's a big
involved. There's a
4-year-old.
germination season
Yeah.
for a reason. There's a reason that a woman carries a baby for 9 months, and if that baby is delivered early, they call it
considered premature.
Right? So it's a reason. Maybe you're trying to force things that you're not ready for, and you should probably ask, what is it that I need to start doing, or what is it that I need to stop doing to be the person that need to be to have the life that I want manifested.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we think it's outside variables that's keeping us.
When it's
waiting,
you, a lot
when
of the time
really
it's just
us.
you.
It's just us.
Yeah, but there's that self-awareness thing.
That's
a lot of
that
times you
self-awareness,
can't
and
see
you gotta
that.
see what-
And I fancy myself an intelligent human being, and I
too,
miss
but
it all the time.
I get real stupid when it comes to certain things. You know, you lose your
Man.
common sense.
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point. Like, you think it's supposed to look like this, and there's that word "it." What is it? But
Right.
the reality of it,
Well, who told you that? Like,
you know,
where did you get that from?
you know, when I was growing up, I tell all my friends this. It used to be, oh, you know what they say, and I'd be like, who is they?
Who is they?
And whatever,
I
and
love
I
it.
Who are the Johnsons? Remember, like the Joneses.
Yeah.
Like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Who's the Joneses?
Yeah.
Does
Well,
anybody ever know?
intentionally growing up, whatever they said, I mean, I was like, I ain't doing what they said. You know what? It worked out really well for me. And a lot of people I know, no disrespect, they did what they said they should do,
said.
and they're all miserable.
Yeah.
Not all, I'm sorry. People can watch this and be like, what are you talking about? Who are you
Are you
talking
talking about me,
Yeah.
Richard?
I'm just talking in general, you know? Like, I'm gonna backpedal.
Or if they, or those that like originally took steps that you didn't take are now coming back to you and being like, well, let me talk to you about like, so what do y'all
Man,
do?
You got it,
Like-
babe,
like, let me-
man.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
But had I operated in the same way you operated, then I'd have been in the same boat. So I ain't got to learn every lesson.
Right.
Like some
Right.
lessons I can just learn and be like, oh, so that's how that went for you. So maybe I should. What if this is? Granted, it looks different. I'm gonna keep doing this because so far we haven't failed compared to like
absolutely.
what
well,
else is going on.
you can always just break everything down. How's that working for you?
Yeah.
How's
It's
it working
that
for
simple.
You? Yeah, because people will
Choose
preach
the
a
way.
sermon to you and be like, oh, so are you using that in your life? Yes. Oh,
Right.
how's that working?
Yeah.
So now you want to try to sell me on something that's not even working for you.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So, I mean, the point of the whole conversation when it comes to waiting is
Perspective.
And patience.
perspective.
And trusting
Stop
God.
looking at my notes.
Oh,
But I'm just
I
playing.
can't even see.
But
Ooh,
sometimes
look at that. She's psychic.
she
All right,
got it.
here you
But
go. Read my
sometimes
What's
You're
wrong?
great. The Lord
Okay.
loves
the
you.
Lord loves you. Praise God.
Oh, that's
The
awesome.
point being that sometimes things take as long as they need to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And the waiting season, although it can be difficult and you feel isolated, there are ways that we can thrive during the waiting season. So some things that you can try is just honor your emotions. Just know that it's going to be
It's
an
okay to feel.
emotional journey. Like, you're not wrong if you feel frustrated, if you feel a little, discouraged. It's human. We are human. We come with a array of emotions, and you're allowed to feel how you feel. It's just how you act, with those feelings. Go ahead.
I've heard about this book for so many years, and I just got tired of hearing about it. It's like, the whole power of now. So I was driving to Florida a couple of weeks ago, and it was raining so bad. I couldn't see no further than like 6 inches in front of the car. It was scary. I thought I was driving through a tornado, and I was listening to that book. And that book is so profound. I'm an Audible guy, right?
Yeah, me too. I'm an
I
Audible
read the
girl.
book. I don't know what I just looked at, a bunch of little shapes and stuff. But anyway, that book just makes such a profound point from the beginning. Your mind is not you. And if you can get present real quick to the reality, and I have a way of just checking in with myself. You ever see me doing this? I'm just checking in and getting present with the reality I'm in. Like right now, I'm sitting here with you guys, or you ladies, sorry.
It's okay.
If I
We
call
get
you a
it.
dude or a guy, I
We
love you.
Trust and believe.
I was like, we're not.
It's
I
just
dig,
a
I
That's
dig.
another conversation.
But no, I'm sitting here.
Like-
I'm sitting here with y'all doing this podcast. We're having a good vibe, good energy. The rest of the day I'm gonna be playing drums, just chilling. Things are good. So whatever's going on up
Yeah.
here, the different chit chat or whatever that's going on, are just belief systems that are just in conflict with
Yeah,
each other.
yeah.
And
I love that. It is.
when you get present, man, things are really.
But that's why he says, like, take every thought captive, because every thought is not your own. Like, who's that? Who's saying that? Like, so
Ooh.
you have to be able to know what to turn on, what to listen to, like anything that's telling you, yeah, you're gonna fail. Yeah, you suck at this. Why are we listening to that?
Yeah.
Like, shut it up. Like,
We
you
have-
don't know.
And you can just pray that out so
Yeah.
fast.
It's actually been said that we have about 60 to 64,000 thoughts
I think that's
in a
the
day.
I've
one.
read
I think
that,
that's
yeah.
the women's thoughts. I don't think the men.
men maybe
I
like-
think that's the women's
Hold on a
thoughts.
second now.
They say it all the
Well,
time.
I'm
Women
leaving.
got way
I'm-
more thoughts
I
than
think
men do.
I think in this day and age, because we're exposed to so much,
Yeah.
men would probably it would probably count for everybody. So
Dude.
if we took the time to think about everything we think about, we couldn't get nothing else done.
But if
And
you
you're
think
It
absolutely-
wouldn't exist.
you
But
wouldn't
think
exist.
about
But
what
the
you're
thing,
thinking
yeah,
about.
but the thing that constantly resonates with you, you need to understand why is that. Why are you focusing on that?
Mm-hmm.
And is that your thought, or is that somebody else's statement or belief system?
And just
how
merely
you act?
notice it.
Notice that acknowledgement.
One of my mentors taught me one time. He's like, just notice it. Don't engage with it. Don't hook to it or anything.
I love it.
Just notice
Just
it and
notice
watch
it.
it just pass on by.
And I think that's like, because you were talking about
Self-awareness.
emotional
I love
when
it.
it goes through like dealing with your waiting and everything. It's like you're allowed to have your emotion. And if you choose to have your emotion when you presently feel your emotion, the repercussion of that emotion is far less than like had you held on to it,
Yeah.
had you swept it under the rug. Like if you don't let your frustration build,
go
you can be
through
like,
it.
Lord, I know you have me waiting, but I'm upset. He's not worried about that.
Yeah.
Like he chose to become man, so he understood what the human experience was.
Yes.
So it's like you taking your frustrations, I'm angry, like I don't understand. But there was these times where I used to be like, well, why me? And then I listened to Megan Ashley. She has a podcast. And there was one episode she was like, I would always ask, why me? And then God told her, like, why not you?
Right. Who do you
Like,
got anybody
why-
else in mind?
Like, why? But why not you? And so
Right.
I feel like I've started to change my own like mindset and being like, why not me?
Yes.
Why not me be the one to make this work?
Absolutely.
Like, why not me be the one to become the example? Why not me? Like, if I'm being presented with it, it's
you've
for
been
a reason.
chosen.
So.
You've been chosen.
Yeah.
That means that you can rise.
For a
that you can
time
show
such as
people-
this.
So you can show
That's
people what
testimony.
it looks like.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go through it. He chose the person that he chose one of his kids, his children. That I know you can go through this and pass it with flying colors.
And how
That's why I
dare you
chose
think you too good to have to
Yeah.
go through some
or you
suffering.
too busy to do
right.
hard work. You
right.
gotta, hey, show everybody else what it looks
Right.
like.
Why not you?
Well, that's a testimony.
Yes,
Yeah.
And
it is.
isn't that one of the biggest part of our
That's the
purposes
point of a
in
test.
life?
Is a
That
testimony.
was a tongue twister. All right, yeah. My friend Brandon Pootzer used to say, "Come on, Richie, get off the cross. We need the wood."
Get off,
No, get
no,
off
we
the
need
cross.
some
We
wood
need
to
the
frame that house without
We're
the
not just be
foundation.
complaining about.
We just keep coming back.
Shout out, Brandon
It's
Pootzer.
made
How
up
you
house.
Another way to thrive through the waiting season is to practice gratitude.
Oh,
We say that a
absolutely.
lot on
Amen.
this. Just express the things that you are thankful for. Once again,
You're
acknowledging
talking
what
about
we
being
just
present
said. Just
and everything.
shifting your perspective. Like, okay, I don't have this. I planted the seed. I've done the work. I've done all the things, but I don't see anything. But be grateful. He can't reward you with the things that you don't have if you have not appreciated and been grateful for the things he's already blessed you with.
Amen.
So, I mean, let's
What
just
fruits of the spirit are you gaining in this? Like those things.
let's just once again circling back to awareness. Be grateful for the things that you do have.
Yeah.
Don't say you want a third kid when you are treating your first two kids like a piece of crap. Don't say you want to get married again when you failed in the first marriage and
How did you fail?
never did the work to figure out the part that you played in the demise of the relationship.
And don't be praying for more money if you don't know how to
if
manage
you're
the
not
money
a
you
good
got.
steward over the money that you have.
Are you tithing?
I think he talked to me. I love
That's why your money not
it. Your
coming.
money not good 'cause you're not
You think
tithing.
you better with your 100% than the 90 in your hand and the 10% in his.
What you're
I
not,
stand on
you're
that.
not sowing. That's all.
At
So
all.
that's what that tithes is. Thirdly, you can find joy at any point, at
yeah.
any life, at any point. Whether it's
Your life.
you have people who've been diagnosed with cancer, people who have lost family members, people who've lost everything, and you can choose to be joyful regardless to where you are in life. Now we're speaking to ourselves too. I have to learn this lesson over and over. It's
Sure.
a daily
Yeah.
thing.
It's
So
a
sometimes you just
decision.
wake up and it's just like.
Again, it's Monday again.
But you catch yourself like, oh my
Let
God.
me get it together. Get it together. We're not doing this.
And we talked about this a lot, and trusting God. And I don't want. And when I say God, whatever you call it,
Exactly.
trust in something that you cannot see, because that's really what life is. When you get on a road and you're driving to work, you can't see all the way to work, but you trust that in the vehicle that you are in, that it will get you there because you know the address, right? So why can't we be like that? We know where we're going and
But
how
you
we're going to
can't-
get there in the
You
vehicle.
don't even
but why
have that
can't
much
we be
control
like
in
that?
life in general outside of like the things that you want. So it's like you know that. Like we know people don't, like, we're not guaranteed to wake up. You don't even control the fact that you're breathing.
Right.
Like that's just something that your body naturally does. So
Right.
it's like the same way you put your faith in like the basic things you don't think about. I'm gonna make it home tonight. Like you assume
Take
these
it for
things.
granted.
Take
yeah.
it for
So it's like
granted.
you
You're
have
confident,
to,
and you have no worry and no doubt. So
At
what we're
all.
saying is, can we
Carry
carry that
that,
over in the
yeah.
things in the
Absolutely.
waiting season? Because we do it for other things as
Yeah.
well, right? We take for granted that the kids are going to make it home from school,
Mm-hmm.
that the country is going to have power. Who promised us that? That we're going to have running clean water. We take for granted that we don't even stress over those things. So how about the things that we planted? We toiled the soil, we watered. How about we just feel the same way? We're confident that it's going to sprout. And if
Yeah.
it don't, this next step is the most important thing.
It's okay
Detach
if it didn't.
yourself from the outcome. You have no control over the outcome. Don't be attached to it. Do the things that you know you need to do, and then just let it go.
Because you can look back. I think about that all the time because, like, again, with like the whole waiting season, the first project management role I took, I was only in that role for 10 months. And that role is why I'm so successful in my current role right now. Because it had my manager out of town. I was managing things that I got thrown to the wolves, the
Yes.
lion's den, when you don't really have me, like, let's see if you can swim. Like, that whole situation.
That's the best way to
And
learn.
even though in that moment, because I wasn't getting paid on time and all that kind of stuff, and I was freaking out, and I was like, I have no idea. That wasn't that outcome. I could have been like, well, I worked at a job and I was a PM and then the company went under, so like I'm a failure. And it was just like, no, like that was just supposed to be a small season to prepare
It was
you
a
for what I
lesson.
had coming,
It's
like in the
all
future. Like it
preparation.
all works together. So
Yeah.
it's like, You have to, the outcome, I like how you said detach from the outcome, because the outcome you might think it is, you might not be there for that. You could be literally to get something out of it, so it helps you for when you are to where you're supposed to be. So
that's that wisdom piece. That's experience, you know,
Absolutely.
and you see that. And that's why as people get a little older, you know, you can look on those past situations and see how things worked out. And then because of that wisdom and that experience, you have more faith and you have more
You
patience.
can lean in it, rest in it.
And you can wait a little easier.
Yes.
and a
Until
little
you
longer.
get into a position that you've never been in before and you don't have experience.
Yeah.
That's another story.
That's another story. But I
I was
love
going to
that.
say, we're going to have to come back.
Yeah,
I know.
I love that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were saying basically in that just rest. That's the last thing I was going to say in our waiting season. Just rest. Maybe it's you just need to
Sit down.
sit down. You need to be still.
Yeah.
Be
Sometimes
still
it's a
and
way-
trust God.
Yeah, you be
Yeah.
still and trust the process. Trust God. Trust it all.
And for people that don't like, because I understand, I used to hear people speak religiously, and I'd be like, oh my God,
Here they
whatever,
go
here we go.
again.
Right.
You know, like the way I explain God to a lot of people, it's just life, the essence of life. You know, and it's real simple. A buddy of mine was like, it's the governing dynamic of the quantum field and stuff. And I'm like, I get all that, but the reality is,
He's
it's
a
just
creator.
life.
He's a father.
Right.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
It's just
Yeah.
love. God
Yeah.
is love.
Absolutely.
So
Lord, we just went all religious again. This has been a very, kind of a,
somebody needs to hear it. So
Yeah,
put it in,
apparently.
put in that way. So if you was to like, I want you to take 2024. Just as use this year as an example of a waiting season because we haven't made it to December yet, right? So you got to.
But we in August already. Like, where did the time go?
You have
Your
to
wait is almost over.
You can't complete a calendar.
Flying.
You can't complete a calendar year without going from January to December.
All the seasons.
And so, say it's a mixing bowl, all the 12 months, and within it, you got a dash of love, a tablespoon of laughter, a tablespoon of travel, a cup of loss, you know what I'm saying?
Some suffering.
A dash of sickness and suffering, and a teaspoon of confusion, and you mix it all up. Now, for me, I could choose to let it bake and have a complete full year and look at it, reflect on it like this was just a wonderful experience. I learned a lot, I grew a lot. Or you can be the person who try to rush it, don't extract the lessons, and you just have a sloppy mess that did not come together.
and you didn't move forward at all.
Didn't
Yeah.
move forward.
You
gotta
stayed stuck.
repeat that same
Yeah.
mixture in 2025.
And that goes back
And
to
you
what we
got to
were saying
focus
with
on
your-
one thing at a
One thing
time.
at a time. What they say,
One
Jack
thing.
of all trades, master of none.
Man.
So you might as well
Learn
we're
to
all gonna-
suffer
The
well.
waiting season is something that's unavoidable. So you might as well just change your perspective and know that what is for you is
It's
for
for
you.
you.
Amen.
And nothing can stop it.
It's that simple.
Is that simple?
Except for you.
It's that-
You're the only one that can stop what's
You're
for
the
you.
only person
If
that
you
can
get in your way.
complicate it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And
It's hard not to get out of here. It's hard not to get in your way at times.
And I do hate, I want to end on this note, and I just want to put, when we talked about perspective, think about the world leaders that we admire Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Dr. Martin Luther King. They lived their life for a purpose. They lived their life in the waiting season. They never got to see what they were working for come to fruition.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So,
But
but
they get-
they
their
were-
name rings
they were
bells in the world.
They were so immensely impactful. So how big is your weight? Because sometimes you may not be around to see the
Weight,
harvest.
WEIGHT. The weight that
The
you
weight.
bring to the world.
To the, yes, yes.
Learn, my thing I'm going to say is learn to suffer well. The way you suffer within your waiting can change the entire trajectory of the season.
I love it.
Learn to sit in it and take it one step at a time. And long suffering is a fruit of the spirit, so you're supposed to learn to suffer. Things are
Going
not
Galatians
supposed to be
5
easy.
on us.
She is.
It's not supposed to be easy, but it doesn't mean it's not worth it. Nothing in life is worth it if it comes easy.
And use joy throughout it. Richie, last
Well,
word, closing words?
the front end of a blessing or a breakthrough or making it is going to be chaotic, so you have to trust the process. And
Stay
man,
in it.
When you
Yeah.
stay in it, man, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Beautiful
when
thing.
you learn how to, what'd you say, suffer?
Suffer well.
Suffer well. I love the weight.
That sounds like good. We got to write that song.
Okay, I can't sing.
So just like
Except
with
in the
anything,
shower.
We
anything
can talk here to
that-
sing it.
if you were a farmer, you would, if you didn't see your crop come in, you would not go out into the farm, into your crop and
Dig up the
dig
seeds.
up the seed because you didn't see it sprout. So just be patient. Change your, maybe you have to change the soil. Maybe you have to water more often or get more sun or whatever it is. But just leave it buried, planted, and it will sprout.
Give it time.
So we hope today's show has been of value to you.
I had a great time.
I love it.
fun.
Thank you so much.
Let's do this again.
Absolutely. Please share this content with someone you know that needs it. And we hope that you will subscribe to the channel and take up residency here on the block. Until next time, I'm your girl, your host, and favorite author, F.M. Ellis. Best of life to you all. Peace.